All right, it's Tuesday, March 21st. This is the end of the day SPY recap. And today on the daily chart, we gapped up and we closed a little higher with a green bar. We kind of stayed near the top of that opening pre-market range. But you could see here on the 15-minute chart, the structure was one of you didn't get that initial push up. You came down and you ultimately had kind of a red to green move to curl back up to the highs. That's pretty common when you have a gap in some form. It's not necessarily easy to trade, given that you're expecting a little bit of a pullback. The question is this first green move going to get you to the highs? Is the second one the one to take? In this case, you just kind of directionally had kind of two pushes down before it kind of reversed to the upside. So it's not necessarily easy to trade. I actually initially thought I'd give it a shot on the short side, watching this third bar develop, bought some puts here. When it came down and really wasn't following through, knowing I was kind of going against the main trend, I just exited break even. It ended up kind of pausing and making a second push down before kind of then starting the rest of the day back up. So bottom line is you just had to be biased to the upside. You're way above the midpoint of the prior day. On the weekly chart, we discussed how this up move triggered the new weekly signal. So it's a 3-bar, 2 down, 2 up. So we're 2 days into the week, and we have like a reversal signal on a longer time frame here, which now projects up to those highs. We'll see by the end of the week if we get there. We have a big Federal Reserve announcement tomorrow that everyone's waiting on. I think it'll have some volatility, but I don't know if it's going to really influence the entire trend that's now in place, but we'll find out. We'll keep in mind that's a big news item, and anything could happen. But for now, we're reversing on the weekly chart here, and even the monthly chart has turned green. So our continuity is to the upside at the moment. And if you fail over time to reach your targets on a 2-down month and you end up with a green bar, then you're likely going the other way. So we still have time left in the month. Like I said, a lot of things might change tomorrow with this announcement, but for now, the bias is clearly to the upside. And again, it's a little tricky, in terms of actually trading the index to kind of hold on and kind of then curl back up to the highs of the day. For me, like I said, I tried a short trade here, just given that was the initial directional move of the day, just to see if he'd get a little short, small gain. But then once I saw the market kind of stabilizing, I actually went to Tesla. If you look around the board, I just decided to go with the strongest stocks. Some stocks, didn't start down. Like Tesla went up, kind of paused, and then there was a buy right in here, and then that you could see moved up for the rest of the day. Other stocks like Nvidia started down, and those weren't the ones necessarily to choose, even though they kind of curled back up a little bit. So you had stocks like Tesla. I think Amazon was a good example. Again, moving up past the pre-market highs, pausing and then starting up. So that opening move down on the SPY, there were other stocks that were strong. Certain stocks, again, like Netflix was a weak stock, so that moved down to start. So you want to look at the stronger stocks given the up bias, but in terms of the SPY itself, which is right here, is a little tricky, in terms of how you were going to play it with an up bias given all this choppiness before it eventually moved higher. So anyway, we'll see tomorrow how things open. How the Fed announcement affects things. It's probably a good idea to be out of the market at that time, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that, and just let it all play out. But in terms of the way things are going, we're definitely reversed on the weekly chart. Until that weekly chart reverses now, we have an opening price here at the yellow line. Until something fails on this bar, I'm just going to have to be biased to the upside going forward. And it could be a pretty big chain reaction that eventually moves up here and allows the monthly chart to turn green and then follow through into April and May and who knows, what else. So maybe we're getting a big turning point unfolding here in the market after a big down move that will project up to higher levels if we can hold this green continuity to the upside. So let's see what tomorrow brings.